Hackney Logboat was discovered in 1987 and has been played on by thousands of children. But what can it actually tell us about Saxon life? What can we learn about this logboat, and what secrets can it reveal about the River Lee? To find out more, I went to speak to Sam O'Connor, Professor of Hackney Museum.
We picked this late Anglo-Saxon logboat, and the first reason we picked this logboat is because it's 1,000 years old, and it's really amazing that it's still here and it's not rotted away. The second reason is because it was found in an adventure playground on exactly the spot many of us played when we were younger, and also we played in the replica here in the Hackney Museum. The next reason is because lots of us do water sports on the Lee near the spot where it was found. And the final reason is because we've been studying rivers, and so this was the perfect way of us going back in time with the river.
So what can you tell us about this boat?
Well, unfortunately, due to being so old and frail, we can only look at it from above through the glass. But you can still see the marks from where they carved it out thousands of years ago with hand tools such as adze and axes. But unfortunately, one end has been severely damaged because when they dug it up, they were digging a hole and it was a digger that did the damage. We made many observations, but the two most interesting was the bulkhead going through the middle and also two pegs either side of that.
We spoke to Dylan O'Connor, Doctor of Water Sports Research.
So we were going to make a replica boat, but luckily there was one here. So I did a thorough investigation on modern canoes that we use today. We all learned a lot, and one of the things that I found most interesting was about where you sit in the boat. So the three things are that where you want to sit in the boat was where, if it's the weather, so particularly wind, the way you want to use the boat, and how fast you want to be going. So for example, if you want to be fast, you'll be kneeling up like this, and you'll be paddling it so you get more power in. So that's why I don't think the bulkhead would have been used as a seat, because you can't slide it up and down.
So how is it that this boat is still here for us to see 1,000 years later?
The report shows that it had been treated with a mixture of pitch pine and beeswax. It was also probably covered up very quickly in silt. Both of these things preserved it.
This raised some interesting questions. Why would the boat have been covered in beeswax and pitch pine? We went to Dr. Jessica Kabiriou.
We think this boat may have been used for fishing. We have an interesting idea of three observations that we made. And these observations are, there's a plug in the bottom, and there's beeswax and pitch pine coating around inside the boat, and there's a dividing bulkhead. We think the owner may have put water in one of the halves and stored fresh fish in it.
So we have another explanation for what the boat might have been used. The Lee Valley was carved out by a glacier and has been inhabited for many thousands of years. The first evidence of someone changing the river for personal gain was recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, and it was King Alfred the Great when he split the river up into three parts so that after the Danes attacked they could no longer sail back down. We traced the River Lee here and the Lee Valley and all the reservoirs, and we've also got the tracing of the River Lee from the earliest map we could find from 1766. Now, if this is the same bend in the river, then it makes the ferry on here in exactly the place where the boat was found. So this means that it could be that the boat was a ferry.
To find out more, we spoke to fellow Lakshmi Maslan.
Evidence shows that the River Lee area was first cleared for the creation of Ermine Street by the Romans, but the Saxons were probably the first people who were able to settle in this marshy area. Along the River Lee there are 3 places which contain the word Ham, which suggests that they were Saxon administrative centres. They were also names ending in ton, which is the Saxon word for village, e.g. Haggerston and Hoxton. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicles tells us that the River Lee was a frontier for battles between Viking, Danes and Anglo-Saxons, and the Domesday Book records that unusual taxes in gold were paid to Countess Judith. The marshy area around the Lee produced reeds for thatching and meadowlands for hay. It would also have been used for fishing. The name Hackney itself means Hacker's well-watered marsh.
So were logboats exclusive to marshy areas? To find out, we spoke to Thaddeus Allison, Doctor of Logboats at Ladywell University.
To compile our own database of logboats, we have used academic journals and the Passgate website of archaeological finds, museum websites, photographs and archive evidence. This database explores logboats found 500 years before and 500 years after our logboat. In total, we found 51 logboats that match this category. We located the finds on the maps and compared it to maps of Saxon Britain. It's that the earliest logboat finds coincided with where the earliest settlements of Saxons originated. Although we know that logboats were being used in the Bronze Age period, they seem to have fallen out of use in Roman times. Perhaps Saxons helped to reintroduce logboats to Britain. These maps we examined show that Britain was very marshy at that time. Logboats are the perfect craft for marshy terrain.
Orosius writes that the Saxons were a people who liked to live on coasts and in marshes.
So this specific logboat from 950 AD, carved out of a solid piece of oak, could either have been used as a ferry or a fishing vessel. If it was a fishing vessel, this would explain the pegs in the bottom, the coating of beeswax and pitch pine on the inside, and also the bulkhead, which is only found in this area.
Demonstrating the research presented many challenges for our team.
How are we going to put all this information about what we've discovered into a 10-minute long documentary?
Yeah, and how are we going to convert all the information that we've learned on the common boats that we use today?
And we've got all this information of the River Lee going all the way up to above the N25, and we've even traced it.
And we've looked at 51 and found 51 boats and recorded them from the medieval period. How are we going to convey how much work we've put into this?
And we've drawn pictures of how they could have been used.
And how it was preserved.
And we're not allowed to use any images that we haven't drawn ourselves.
I suppose we could cut out the bit about the fact that it could have been used for warfare and the ceremony, because it's probably only going to have been used for either fishing or the ferry. And anyway, I suppose we could pin this up on the wall, and then it'd be much easier to see. And then we could even lay this over it to compare it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I know. Why don't we do a blog?
Yes, a blog.
Yeah, that's a good
That'd be
idea.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Are we
that.
all agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah.